Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am joined by my friend Yuki Watanabe from Gap. Yuki, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Now, where in the world are you sitting right now?
I think it's sunny outside. I can see the sun, but I haven't been outside. I looked at my phone and it said the air quality is over 100. So I'm not going outside.
So 100 is bad. It's not like a math
Yeah,
test.
it's the lower it is, it's better. I think at one point in time when we had a lot of California fire in Washington and California West Coast fires,
Mhm.
air quality was over 200 when it was really bad. When we
Oh my gosh.
sky,
Well, is that supposed
the
to
end of the
be?
world.
Is that supposed to be like on a 100 scale? I mean, is that
I,
like 200 on 100 scale?
good question. I don't know, but
Oh
usually
my gosh.
the air quality is somewhere around like less than 50 usually. When during the traffic, with the pollutions, I think it goes up a little bit, but it's rarely over 100. So when it goes around 100, a little over 100, it's unhealthy for a sensitive group. Over like 130 or 150, it's just unhealthy. So stay.
Okay, let's save the apocalyptic climate change for the second half of the show, okay? Just so we can get people on here, okay? So people don't freak out, like, hey, this is too heavy. I'm trying to have a tequila, you know. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Hit that like button, hit a heart, hit that little insightful, kind of face if you're kind of learning something new about air quality right now. Do all that. Also, get active in the comments. The show is so much better when you are active. And I want to see your questions for Yuki, comments. Let us know who you are, where you are, what you're doing right now. It's Friday afternoon. It's 4 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 1 o'clock where Yuki is right now, I think. So this is fun. This is great. I can't wait to hear some questions from you, the audience. We're going to talk a little bit about sustainability, apocalyptic climate change. Those are my words, not Yuki's. But no, we're going to talk about global mobility. I want to hear Yuki's story. Yuki, I remember the first time that we met, actually, face to face. It was at an event at Chatham Bars, I want to say, in Massachusetts, in the Cape Cod area. We were at a cocktail party at an event, like a relocation event, and I remember meeting you. And then we went like 8 years not like really like interacting much or whatever. And then we reconnected recently at the IAM conference, and that's kind of how we kind of got back together. And it was really cool, and I'm really happy to have you here. And you had brought something up in that discussion at IAM about sustainability, and I was like, I need to get her on the show. We got to hear more from Yuki here.
Oh, thank you. But we actually got reconnected. So the IAM was when we really reconnected. But
Mm-hmm.
before that, we got sort of reconnected when you had the session with Tanya on of hunger. That was
Yes.
when I kind of resurfaced.
Yes, you did. You resurfaced. Like your words, not mine. You resurfaced. I remember you donated to the cause, and I remember your comment. Your comment was like, "Is there a way for you to keep the T-shirt? I just want to give them money. Just keep the T-shirt." I'm like, she hates my T-shirt. She doesn't even want it. She won't even take the free T-shirt. Oh my
No,
god.
I don't hate the free t-shirts. Usually the t-shirts because I'm petite. Usually whatever I get, usually way too big. That and we're in the fashion business, so I have a ton of t-shirts. I don't need one, and somebody else who can use them.
I sympathize. I'm the opposite of petite, and I also cannot use any of these free T-shirts that are floating around out here. That's why I made Move for Hunger. I was like, hey, I need the non-hungry T-shirt size, please. Let's check out the comments here. We got a bunch of people checking in right now. If you're just joining the show, hit that like button, hit that heart, throw some comments. I want to hear your questions for Yuki. You can ask her whatever you want. It's a live show. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Tim Quirk, hello, Yuki and Ben from hashtag WNY. That's Western New York for those of you out there trying to decipher.
It's like,
Yeah.
What is it? It's like
You're not alone, Yuki. You're not alone. We're gonna give Tim a
Philly.
medium. Yeah.
Okay.
Philly in the house. Stacy Huff. Hi, Yuki and Ben. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you,
Yes,
Stacy.
yes, I am happy. It's Friday.
Got any plans this weekend, Yuki?
I don't know. It really depends on the weather. So now we have a few people. We can talk about the air quality.
There we go. The air quality. There we go.
Maybe people calling from different parts of the world can give us their air quality. So
Yes.
I'm in San Francisco. It's an outer sunset. That's the area is called. It's close to the beach. Usually the air quality is pretty good because it's breezy and it's close to the beach and less air congestions because we don't have a lot of traffic like in downtown. But air quality right now in this area is 106. And just so people understand, numbers are better when it's lower. So
It's like golf.
100 is not deathly dangerous, but it's an unhealthy air quality for sensitive group.
Got it. So and you can check that right on your iPhone, right? Just
Yeah.
And you go to the weather
where you are.
All right. So the weather. Oh, wow, they got a new sliding scale bar. Now I never saw this little rainbow bar.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
You see this? So my air quality right now is a 45.
45. Oh, good.
Which is
okay.
Good. That's exactly their words. Good. It's good air quality. I should be outdoors right now enjoying the fresh air. Getting some exercise potentially. That's probably also something my iPhone would tell me right now. Hey, go ahead and put in the comments right now what your air quality is. We're going to crowdsource this right now. I want to know what city you're in. I want to know what air quality you have right now. And that might be a good conversation starter for us. So we're going to let you do that right now. Let's see who else is checking in with us. Jason Rollins, hi, Yuki and Ben. TGIF.
Yes.
Chris Roberts, hey, Yuki.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Chris is great.
Oh,
Linda.
hi, Linda.
Linda says, hope all is well. Jen Breen, happy Friday, Ben and Yuki from Chicago. Jen, what's the air quality in Chicago? Linda, what's the air quality? Chris, Jason, what's the air quality? Victoria McCullough, hi, Ben and Yuki. Victoria, what's the air quality in Dallas looking like? Chris says, I love having conversations with Yuki. She is always thinking and challenging others around her to be better.
Oh, thank you.
Chris, throw a question there for Yuki right now. Sounds like you've had a lot of great.
Oh, hi, Sherry.
You're cracking me up with climate change. Yeah, if it were only funny, right, Sherry? It's like we laughed. It's like we laughed. Jack,
hi, Jack.
Hey, Jack. Jack, what's your air quality in Philly like? Are the Eagles dropping out of the sky these days or what? What's the air quality like? Linda, wow, I was there. MSI Climate event. That was a great event. Love Cape Cod. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Nori checking in from first quarters in Boston. All right.
A lot of East Coast.
Yeah, we do. Let's see here. Oh, and Jen's checking in.
26.
Fair. She's saying fair. I'm good at 45. Is fair better than good?
I don't know.
This is very odd. We need to get to the bottom of this. Can somebody Google this? and can somebody let me know if this is a 100 scale? I'm sensing that it is, but I want to know for sure. I'm going to learn something today. We're going to learn something about the environment, about sustainability. Charles Beatty saying
52. Okay.
41 in Phoenix.
Okay.
All right. Michael James. Now, this is interesting because he's up in your neck of the woods, isn't he? Michael James, Northern California.
I don't know where he is.
Michael, where are you?
Maybe he's in a different part.
Maybe like Sacramento or something.
I don't know. 37.
Let's see. Nori's got 38 in Boston.
Let's see where in the country is the best air quality at this point.
Well, I think Long Island right now is 37. That's pretty low. Well, what was Jen? Jen's up here at 26. Jen, are you on the right scale? Because you're in Chicago. I find that hard to believe. I don't know. Jen,
is 26 below? We're not talking. We're talking air quality. Just making sure people understand what we're trying to.
Not air temperature. Sacramento. Yep. See, I know where you guys are at out there. Not too far from SFO, Cameron Park.
Oh.
He was just joking with me. Let's see. Air quality is 30 and good. Let's see. Jen says my air quality says 26 fair. Sorry, that's what AccuWeather said. Jen, are you an Android user? Are we learning things about you right now, Jen?
AccuWeather. I think iPhone is I think this is weather.com, isn't it?
Yeah, weather.com or maybe WeatherBug might supply it as well.
Yeah.
Think of the air quality index as a yardstick that runs from 0 to 500.
Oh, okay.
That's why we got Tim on the show now. Tim's joined the show recently, and it's just gotten a lot more highbrow lately.
Okay.
This is great. So let's set the table with this. So I kind of wanted to talk about global mobility first, but let's go environment first. Let's talk about the environment, because one of the things that came out of the conversation that we had at the IAM conference that I just thought was brilliant and nobody is talking about is sustainability in our industry. I mean, am I crazy, or is nobody talking about this, Yuki?
I don't know. I don't want to say nobody's talking about it. I don't think they're talking openly or collectively. I think that sustainability is on everybody's mind. Every company makes some effort, but I think we could be doing more, and we could even make bigger impact collectively.
How do you, I mean, you say not openly and not collectively. So you think these conversations are being had in private?
I think we need to define privately. So privately, it could mean privately, meaning for a company like us, we have a pretty substantial web presence. So when you go to a website, you can read about everything, all the efforts that we're making. But we're not going to necessarily do that for, we have probably like a 20, 30 suppliers just on the relocation site that we deal with. I'm not going to go to each one site and look at, what are they doing individually? They probably do that. I don't know if it's openly communicated on their website. Maybe the salespeople, talk about it, during RFP, but it's not an everyday conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that I see when I hear nothing, I don't hear it like in the moving business we say, no news is good news. But I think it's sustainability. No news is not good news. If people aren't advertising their green initiatives and the things they're doing as a corporation to be sustainable, I suspect the answer is they're not doing much. I mean, do you think that's an unfair criticism? I mean,
I don't know. I want to. Well, let's hear from audience then, because I do hear, but I don't think we hear enough. And the effort that they're making is, I don't want to say it. I don't know if it has changed over the years as much. I know, people are making efforts into recycling cardboard. I don't know, whatever, but I want to see a little bit more and grander gesture. I know it takes money. That's why I think if you make collective effort, I think you can get there faster and create more impact.
Okay, so this is everybody's opportunity to shine. We got a bunch of people on LinkedIn right now. We got a few people on Facebook. I'm going to throw it out to you, since most of the folks out here watching are probably suppliers, okay? Because we get paid to mess around on LinkedIn all day, unlike the practitioners that actually have to get people. Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of them. Don't worry, Yuki. There's plenty of them out here. No, but all kidding aside, go ahead and let us know. Let us know what's going on at your company. I want to hear about your sustainability initiatives, or what's one thing maybe that you guys have done, even if it's a little thing, big thing, anything. Put it in the comments. Let me know what your company's done. Let me know what your industry is doing. So if you work, in a corporate housing provider, and then, maybe what your company's done, maybe a trend that you're seeing in the broader industry, let's hear some of that, because I want to know, because I don't think we're talking about this enough. And maybe I'm off base, and maybe I'm just not asking the right questions or listening or talking in the right circles. But I mean, as a person who talks to people every single day about global mobility trends, sustainability is not something that comes up. It's just not. And when I think about it as an existential issue for us as humans, It's perplexing to me to think about why this wouldn't be a front and center topic. Why is this not a session every ERC, right? Why is this not a subject of a whole week-long symposium strictly on climate change and global mobility and what we can do? Yuki, I'm sorry to get on my soapbox here, but what are your thoughts?
I do think, it will be great. Maybe it's happening and I just don't have an exposure to have that conversation, because supplier has this supplier conferences, and clients don't even, corporate side usually don't go there. We had an opportunity to be a part of that IAM conference, and I learned a lot from that. But I do think there's an opportunity to expand the conversation. But in addition to getting an idea of what what suppliers are doing, I also like to hear some ideas too. It could be, we could use this space to generate some ideas. It could be, and this is where I think this is why Chris loves me, is
Chris, listen up. This is why you love Yuki. Write it down.
No, but because my ideas can be pretty crazy, but that's the purpose of the ideation or brainstorming. It doesn't have to be really practical. The purpose is to really think about it. So, and this morning I read an article about dying coho salmon, and the group of scientists actually found out why. And one of the major reasons was the water, the toxins in the water that's trickling into the river, and the toxin is from the tires. So tires as residue goes on the road, rain, flood, whatever, that gets washed to the river, and that's how that was the cause of the coho reduction.
Wow. You don't even think about that, right? You think about, okay, I'm going to take this tire off my car. Am I going to dispose of it properly, or am I just going to throw it in a dumpster when nobody's looking? You don't think about the fact that all that tread got left on the highway over the last year or two or whatever, and it's just to your point, just kind of goes into the water table.
So when you think about sustainability, not just moving industry, it's either the truck or the air or the sea. When you think about it, a lot of the conversation happens around electric vehicle, think about the vehicle, but I don't know if there was enough conversation around tires. So, and everybody kind of focuses on emissions, but nobody talks about other things that could be hurting environment. So it's just awareness of things that you didn't even think about. And I was hoping, with this platform, just
let's do it.
Bring some awareness.
Let's do it. So what's the question we want to ask the audience? So audience, listen up. You got homework. What's the question we want to ask them, Yuki?
So what are you doing today and what you like to see? It doesn't have to be practical, and it doesn't have to be within your industry. It could be something else.
Well, I think that's always better too. When you allow somebody to talk and judge other people, it's always easier to say, you know what you should be doing? Hey, movers, you know what you should be doing? Hey, corporate housing people, you know what you should be doing? I love it. No, that's great. Yeah, let us know. What would you like to see? And to Yuki's point, let's think big, right? Let's think kind of blue sky here. Let's see here. Let's see what Chris says here. Chris says, I think a big part of sustainability problem is a lack of connecting efforts back to measurable business impact. Doesn't help that it is also over politicized at times. This may keep some people and organizations from having meaningful conversations. Wow. So much there, Chris. I think let's unpack this a little bit and talk about each of these aspects. What do you say, Yuki?
Okay. Then can the suppliers create a safe place to talk about it?
What does a safe place look like? I mean, is that a safe public place, safe private placing? I think there's a lot of merit to having these conversations publicly, right? Because from a leadership, from an influence, from a crowdsourcing. I mean, it's one thing you and I have a conversation for an hour about it privately. It's another thing if you and I have a conversation about it for an hour publicly. So, but what does a safe space look like, Yuki?
I don't know. I don't have answers for it, but on the corporate side, we have all these corporate roundtables, did by some suppliers, but it is supposed to be the safe place. You share information, and there's a trust that whatever you share doesn't go beyond that group. So there's a trust there. So can you do something similar?
Yeah, this is fascinating. So here's an idea for you, Yuki, right? Chris, this is a leap. Is Love and Relo a safe place? I'd like to think so, Chris, and I'm gonna assume that that's a statement and not a question. But I think to Chris's point. So okay, I'm gonna say as a person that creates spaces for thought leadership, right? I would like to see a week-long symposium where we invite all of the clients, right? The corporate folks, the RMC folks, the people who buy services in this space, right? Because let's be honest, a lot of what we do, everything we do is in service of you, right? And people like you, right? That's how the ecosystem works, right? In our little world here. And so I think it's important. I think it'd be interesting to bring all of you, the buyers, to a symposium. Have suppliers maybe, and let's say it's a week long, let's say it's 5 days. So maybe on Monday you do household goods. Maybe on Tuesday you do corporate housing. Maybe I'm running out of fingers, but you know what I'm saying. And then, and right, thank you, Yankee. Policy, I don't know what, but what if we did that? And what if for a day or for a few hours during the day, we had leaders within actively workshop some of these ideas? Because here's the other thing, and here's what some of our suppliers are probably thinking as well, is it takes partnership from our clients as well, right? Whether it be increased costs, perhaps, whether it be a change in processes, perhaps, change in policies, perhaps, right? So it's going to be a two-way street, but I mean, I think we should be tip of the spear in innovating our own processes. But what do you think about an idea like a symposium or something just around sustainability and climate change?
I think that would be great. And it would be great if ERC can do that.
So you've given all my good ideas now to ERC? That's how this is going to work?
No, but it just takes, I think if you're going to do like a week long, you need a big, big company or organization that can handle that big of a conference. So,
okay.
So, but that, and it's part of it, it's going to have a lot of research involved in regulations. I don't know if the collection of the suppliers can handle that. I'm not sure. I'm not saying you can't, but
yeah, I hear you. I think Jack brings up a great point as well, right? So I think Jack's thinking along the same lines as you, Yuki. He's like, first you need a week-long supplier symposium on how to better trust each other instead of seeing each other as a threat and taking away business from each other. Jack's basically saying there's no way we get a bunch of suppliers in a room, they work together to come up with a solution. They're just gonna
why not?
You know what? Let's be candid about this, right? Because a lot of people don't think big. A lot of people aren't strategic. They're tactical and they're transactional, right? And they're less concerned with how do I keep rubber out of the river for the salmon, and more about how do I put more salmon in my family's mouth. Because at the end of the day, if I can get Jack to send me a move, I know what that means to my family and my personal outcome. But if I, change one less tire per big rig in my fleet, I don't know what that means. So I think ultimately, unfortunately, a lot of us are and I'm going to talk from a salesperson and a supplier standpoint, a lot of us are just focused on what's right in front of our face here and just trying to, prospect and provide better solutions and close business. And so I think it's also incumbent on getting above people maybe who are at that level, who are at that sales level or that account management level, and getting maybe to the C-suite at the suppliers where they're thinking more strategically, more long-term, and also have the influence in their organization, the wherewithal, the influence in the economics to be able to affect change, right? Because it's one thing for us to talk and agree about it. It's another thing for the people stroking the checks, to agree.
That's true. But I also like to think, so let's just say that's how it is. From a supplier, as somebody on the supplier side, what do you think you can do to change that?
Which part of it? Change which part?
So a lot of it, you said a lot of the people that are like on, frontline sales, they need to kind of focus on what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
What would change that behavior?
Well, a change in incentives, a change in the way that we're incentivized, right? Part of the you want to know why salespeople are transactional? Because they're commission based. Mm-hmm. So they get incentivized every time that they close a piece. They're not like looking necessarily, let's say, like a shareholder. A shareholder, it's incentivized based on the profitability and the financial health of the company. So what if we changed or realigned, talking about crazy ideas here, what if we realigned the way that incentives were structured and we took more of a holistic view of our company? And even furthermore, what if we changed our scorecards to incorporate sustainability metrics, right? And so we're not just looking at the profitability, but we're looking at the sustainability and potentially other things like, diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a few other things that probably belong on the scorecard, and measure ourselves that way.
There you go.
I need more than there you go. I got 33 more minutes here. I can't. There you go. Cherry on top. Okay, that's our show today.
No, but it's one. It might be just one idea. But what if everybody, not the same idea, but a similar idea, everybody comes up and go back to their own organization and be a champion for that change? You alone may not be able to make any difference, but if you spread the word, and that's exactly what you're doing on this show, and a whole bunch of salespeople did the same thing in 30 different, whatever, how many, the relocation company or the supplier, the moving company there is, they did the same thing. The leadership has to react.
Well, and accordingly, also, I would say, from a client standpoint, from your seat, goes back to, like, it's easy to tell other people what to do, right? So salespeople, we need to start talking about sustainability more, okay? I would say the corporate folks need to start voting with their dollars, need to start supporting companies who support the things that they believe in, right? And if your thing is sustainability, you need to be aligned with suppliers that also have that same vision, right? If it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, you need to find suppliers that reflect that same emphasis, And I think that that's another thing, because I'm not sure that when we look, and we got some great comments coming in, keep those comments coming in, hit that like button, send a heart out to Yuki. Let's get those questions coming. I promise we'll get to all of them. We got some great stuff. But just to finish this thought, I'm not sure that the supplier selection and sourcing process adequately takes into account sustainability metrics. Let's just use that. And I'm also not sure that we really have great sustainability metrics. So maybe we need to back up a little bit too and just say, first of all, how are we even measuring the impact, good or bad, that we're having?
The measuring part might be a little tough, but any large size company will have a series of questions, at least we do, to check the sustainability effort, equality and belongings, all of those. Now, I know the decision isn't always made based on solely on that, but it is a factor, and I'm sure that's going to be a bigger factor. Most companies usually have a grading scale in choosing suppliers, and there's a weighting on different categories. I am pretty sure that diversities and sustainability part is going to be heavily weighted in the future.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think it's just going to increase, right? I mean, we're already seeing it, to your point, and it's just going to increase. When I look at those questions on RFPs, and I fill these things out, a lot of them are like, describe your process for, describe green initiatives. That's what it is. Describe your green initiatives. And then we kind of write up some, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, cut and paste a page, maybe a certificate we earned, 3 years ago, something like that, and then we say, okay, done with that question, on to question 45, and so, but like, who's checking us on that stuff? Like, I could Google it, cut and paste something out of the internet and say, there's answer to question 44, but like, I mean, who's out there auditing this? I think it would be really interesting. And I think in the future, every company, I think there will be such a thing as just like you go on to Yelp or Google reviews or whatever, and you see a star rating or whatever, and just like you buy a water heater and it has an Energy Star rating on it, I think there's going to be a website that's going to actually audit and score companies based on their green score, and their sustainability score. There's probably ought to be a DE&I score also, right? And so then it's not like, hey, give me your process and tell me about your green initiatives and go steal the image of a certificate off Google, and upload it here, but like actually, something verifiable, something, do you see something like that happening? Does something like that even exist now? Maybe.
I don't know, but I hope suppliers are not just putting something that they found on a Google site or stealing certificates from somebody. I trust whoever ends up on the final 3 or 4 actually are honest in giving us the information. I'm certainly not going to go out and verify something, but I may ask, expand on it, because a lot of times the questions on the RFP are very generic. We don't always write them. Our procurement department does. And some of the answers that comes back, I have to go multiple times back to the suppliers and ask, can you just explain what you mean by this? Because some of the things, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's called Googling the answer to RFP question number 45, and if the more opaque I can make it, the less of a chance it's going to be scrutinized, probably. Chris says now.
I think that's going to be, I'm sure it varies by people, but I don't let a lot of things slide. So if you give me opaque answer, I am going to go deep.
Good for you. I think more people need to do that. At least you're giving feedback here. A lot of times we submit these, 40-page RFPs and we don't even hear back. So at least you're asking questions. Sometimes we probably put answers in there, and it's like lyrics to a song just to see if somebody's reading this thing. Chris Roberts says, and we know how Ben does RFPs now. Yes, Chris, I do. That's exactly how I do it. I Google, what would heirs respond to this question? I find an RFP that you guys have done. I cut and paste it in there and I send it to Yuki, and that's my strategy. Lisa Johnson, absolutely, Yuki, and is already weighted heavily now for some more mature companies in this space. Lisa brings up the point about maturity too. I mean, I'm going to speak on behalf of the small businesses, of which I'm sure a lot of suppliers are small businesses. It's hard. It's hard to have a sophisticated green initiative, sophisticated DE&I policies that are actually being used, sophisticated. I mean, technology. I mean, it's I don't even want to get into like how archaic some of these companies are, but I mean, it's difficult, and there's a cost associated with that. I mean, do you think that mom and pop suppliers and small businesses are going to be able to compete with these types of requirements?
I think this is where I'd like to see more collaboration in investments from a larger company. And I know, it's a competitive world. You don't want to share a market. I understand. But, let's just take an RMC. If you you probably have a supplier network from in varying sizes. Can you help them? If you're big enough, can you help the smaller suppliers? Or even can RMC work together to create some sort of program to help all the mom and pop shops? Like, we have like a small business loans.
Yeah.
So can you do something like that as an industry?
Like a shared resource kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you like pay into it or something. Maybe it's almost like a membership. Maybe it's a part of an association, right? You kind of pay into it and it's a shared resource and they can give you best practices. Then could they turn around also and audit your conformance to that? And then you can say, hey, these people, if, I'm ISO, like how we do ISO certifications. I'm green certified, or, Lisa brings up LEED certified workspaces. Lisa says, Move for Hunger is a great initiative to avoid waste, biodegradable bubble wrap, recyclable crates, LEED certified workspaces added to your next RFP. Lisa, can you send me a link to that document so I can plagiarize it? That'd be lovely. I appreciate it. Just put it in the comments there so we can all know what to say next time. I'm going to say biodegradable bubble wrap. Movers don't even use bubble wrap. Movers use paper. And this actually brings me to another point. So when we go and pack up a house, we use paper. We wrap paper around every item in the box, and then we put it all into another paper box, okay? And then we write on some paper that we did it. That's basically our process. I mean, it's mind-boggling, but this is what we do, and this is what we've always done. And as a person who has an Amazon habit, I can't help but think that this has all got to come to a head at some point, and it's not sustainable. I mean, Yuki, what are your thoughts on I hate to put a target on my industry, but what are your thoughts on the moving industry and where we're at?
I don't know. I may not be able to answer your question directly, but I'm going to take it to somewhere else.
Go wherever you can with it.
So I had an idea. So this may not be my original idea. This might already exist. But so instead of moving things, how about was there ever a thought in creating some sort of used item market?
Like Craigslist?
Kind of like that.
Facebook Marketplace, maybe?
Yeah. An original location and a destination location. So you find people, you can just, you don't even have to manage it. Maybe there's a platform you create as an industry where you could find people that are moving within like in a 2 months period. Okay, I'm moving from San Francisco in the next 2 months. Here are the items that I don't need. And if you are, and this is where you can partner with that site or whoever manages them to somehow coordinate the move for that. So instead of it's kind of a derivative of discard and donate. Instead of taking that to a donation or discard, you take it to wherever people need.
Yeah, so you're kind of like pooling furnishings, kind of.
Yeah.
With the idea that basically the same amount of people moving in or moving out, and somebody's going to need a couch, somebody's going to have a couch to give, and you kind of maybe the movers, instead of doing long distance moves, are really just doing local move outs and move ins, right?
Yeah.
So now my warehouse turns into a cross dock operation where I'm moving out the Jones family, and I'm taking all their sofas and end tables and beds, and I'm bringing them in, and then the Smith family moves in, and I go down the street and I deploy those. That's interesting. So it's basically it's like furniture rental, but nobody owns the furniture. Does somebody own the furniture? Is it like a furniture rental you're thinking?
I don't know. That could be it could be a rental. It could be, well, if it's a rental, you have to take the inventory. So it's better if it's just a direct between the two, and the movers just handle the move from one house to another house in the vicinity. Something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I did, it was interesting when we had Vivi Chayati from Alta Vida, the corporate housing company. She was on my show, a couple months ago, And she said in the future, people won't own furniture. They will just rent it.
Mm.
And actually in other countries, and I learned this not through Love and Relo, but I learned this from watching HGTV. When the one where they're like, oh, and the Smith family thinks they can work from home in the Cayman Islands, so we're gonna go see what we can get. They're like, okay, I got 1,500 American. What can I get? And a lot of options are furnished. A lot of rentals are furnished in other countries, which I find odd, honestly. But then I go to corporate housing and I kind of love the furnishings. I'm like, this is nicer than my house. Everything's so modern and cool and updated and cleaner than my house with 2 kids. So, I mean, do you think that we'll get to a place in our society where we stop moving our IKEA furniture around and wait for it to break, and we just, places are furnished, rentals are furnished? And
I personally like to see that, because I don't think there are furnitures I don't want to part with. And if I were to move somewhere, if I was moving within the US, I'll probably take the furniture, because it's it's not that far. It's 3,000 miles coast to coast. But if I'm going overseas, I'll probably won't bring my furniture. Maybe some things, but larger furniture, no. And I think it's just more sustainable to, not just from shipping standpoint, but it's for items as well. It's
100%. I mean, I'm looking at moving also, and I've got you throw out probably 25% of everything in your house when you move, right? You move the furnishings, like the dining room table and the chairs and all. But everything in the closets just gets tossed in a bin. All the tricycles and the scooter, all the crappy stuff, it all goes into a garbage bin or something, or multiple garbage runs. And you're right. And as you're doing it, and you're like, man, I'm putting stuff in a garbage bag right now that has usability. Somebody would probably even pay for it, frankly. And I'm putting it out here just out of the sheer convenience of the fact that I can put it on the curb. And I was also thinking this yesterday as I spent an hour outside on my garbage day, breaking out cardboard boxes and shoving oversized things into oversized garbage bags. Then I'm like, garbage shouldn't be so cheap. It shouldn't be so cheap to throw stuff out, to just put it on the curb. I mean, whole sofas. I can call my garbage company, and twice a month they'll come, or twice a quarter. I don't know. It's a lot. They'll come out and they'll get an oversized piece. An oversized piece might be a sofa. So I can throw out 8 sofas a year for free on my curb. That's excessive.
Yeah, it varies by state too. So West a little bit more progressive. So in San Francisco, you can do a large item twice a year, up to 10.
Okay.
Everything is recycled, and there's actually a fine for you have to recycle garbage and compost. So if you're mixing compost in a garbage, I don't know if anybody's going through the garbage bin to actually identify what's compostable and what's garbage, but there's actually a fine. I don't know what that is. And a lot of people compost themselves. Because we're working from home more, I have a small garden, so I'm trying to compost. So the little things, and I know we focused our conversation around more at the corporation level, but each of us can do more. You just have to know. If you know something about recycle, be more environmentally friendly, just share that idea with other people, so each of us can make a smarter decision. And it becomes a habit.
Yeah, so help me out, Yuki, because I care about the environment. I care about the future of our world. I want to be better, but I also look at myself as a guy that just put probably 8 bags of garbage on the curb, as a person that's not really doing nearly enough. So give me a few things, if you would, just like as a person, as a human being, assuming that everybody out there that's watching this right now at least cares, but they just don't know. So give me a few things, if you don't mind. That you do.
Yeah, like when you shop, I don't know if you go to grocery. I do all my grocery shopping.
Yeah.
My guy doesn't. So when you buy something, look at the packaging and make a decision. If you're looking at the items, $1 versus $5 for compostable packaging, that may be a different decision. But if at least for me, if it's not a significant difference, I will buy item that's comparable, but in a more sustainable packaging. Or if it's grown in have you ever heard of a vertical farming?
I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it is.
So farming, this is kind of goes all over the place. Traditional farming takes up a lot of soil, land space, and water. Vertical farming, it's still debatable, but it's actually it's more predominant in West Coast. No surprise there. But you farm vertical. It's like in the warehouse. It's indoor. But it uses a special light to cultivate the product. But it uses, I can't remember how much less, but it's significantly less water. And also because it's a vertical farming, there's very limited land.
Is it like a hydroponic setup where they're just recycling the same water, so it's not just being wasted but evaporating? But sounds like you're discussing a grow operation, Yuki. It sounds like we're talking about marijuana. All of a sudden we took a left.
No. But it's like, if I see that product versus a regular, and I love organic stuff, but I may choose that, or I may buy a detergent that comes in a refillable packet rather than plastic bottle each time.
So you get like a squishy bag instead of a big plastic carton. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, David Toledo says hydroponics, soil-free farming. Okay, cool. David's down with the draw. All right. Let's see, Sarah D. we got so many comments coming. I want to get to all of them. I want people to be heard here. Sarah says some cities have furniture banks. We have one in Chicago, and it's amazing. They'll take any unwanted furniture from people and supply it to people transitioning from shelters into housing. They also collect furniture that is returned to stores but cannot be sold. Very interesting. Brian Liparopoulos from IAM. We're just talking about IAM. It would be great to have a worldwide pool of reusable plastic totes that companies could utilize to replace boxes. These assets could be tracked in much the same way as lift fans or shipping containers are tracked today. Brian, that would be cool for IAM to do, right? If IAM owns all the totes and all the members of IAM can utilize the totes and tap into, because you need an overarching system that crosses over suppliers, because we're all sharing the same totes. So if I were for North American Van Lines, but then there's a United agent over here, and are we swapping totes? I mean, like we swap lift fans. I mean, that would be kind of interesting, Janet Turner, I've heard of platforms pulling out items that a person wants to sell at the same time as a survey, then using a resale platform. Janet, that's interesting. Love to hear more about that. William Keating says on the House of Good Size, you can reference the movers in Japan. They utilize many reusable plastic boxes, especially designed for dishes, shoes, televisions, etc. Very interesting. Well, yeah, I don't know why we don't have more adoption of plastic totes in the U.S. We do it for office moving, but I think it's because they're very costly. And again, it goes back to that like transactional mind thinking versus like strategic thinking. Like, okay, I'm going to buy a tote. It costs me $5. But it'll replace, an 89-cent box forever, So after 5 turns, 5 moves, moving people every day. After 5 moves, now it pays for itself. I mean, but we're not thinking like that. It's a shame, really. However, movers can buy boxes with recycled materials. Janet did say, especially with COVID and bed bugs, it's not a good idea to reuse boxes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a bummer. Let's see here. Jack says the only way this can change is if the corporate client evaluated sustainability solutions of suppliers and placed more weight on this initiative as they have RFPs. Sure. Yeah, Robin's going back. She says moving boxes must be a better way. I wonder how many trees are lost for the moving industry. You know, Robin, that's interesting. So I was doing a little research, Googling before this show. I was like using microfiche in the library like I was taught growing up. No, I was Googling stuff, and they said cardboard is, of course, this is probably written by the cardboard industry, but they were saying cardboard is relatively green in that it's super easy to recycle. However, cardboard can only be recycled like 5 to 7 times before the fiber sizes break down so small that they're really not usable. But those shortened fibers can be incorporated with longer fibers and something like that. But then it got me thinking, does the general pool of fibers become so degraded that none of the cardboard pulp is good anymore? We have to just start over at some point. Is there a terminal degradation of cardboard fibers?
When the cardboard all breaks down, is it compostable? So I think
I'm gonna lie and pretend I know the answer to that and say yes, I think it is. Well, it's paper, right? Paper's compostable, right?
Yeah. So I think that might be because everything has some sort of shelf life or usable life. At the end of the day, what happens to normal recyclable items? I think that's the biggest question. If it can be composed, then great. But great to have number of times recycle, but after 5 times, all the recycled items, it ends up in the landfill. That's not good either.
Yeah.
Recycle, but
Right. But so what does it do? Does it end up getting composted or yeah? It's a great question, or just burned.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to live in a land of
like Yuki. Oh, my next RFP is what I'm gonna say. Yuki, great news. We don't throw any cardboard away. We just burn it all right next to the tires from our trucks that we can't use anymore. No,
this is why the air quality is over 100.
Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. Let's see here. LinkedIn user says, I agree with Chris Roberts. In addition, it's about linking sustainability to quality, measurable with ISO certificates, innovation such as what creating bots and IT technology significantly reduces paper for expense processing and auditing. In 2019, we added bots to our IT system. It helps with the administrative behind the scenes, so that we're able to reduce usage of paper. We drop our usage by 50% in all offices. You know, it's funny. He says we added bots to our IT system, which helps the administrative behind the scenes, so we're able to reduce paper. That's because they tried asking the humans to stop using paper, and the humans wouldn't do it. So they got bots, because the bots don't talk back and hide manila folders from you. Like, if you've worked for a moving company out there and you're watching this right now and you tried to go paperless, I swear the over-under is probably 3 times it takes to try to go paperless before you actually accomplish it in the moving industry. It is so ridiculously paper reliant that I can't even, I mean, I could go on and on. I'll put it this way. There's 2 typewriters in this building. Okay. That's how reliant on paper we are. Okay. I think we're putting Dunder Mifflin, we're keeping them in business right now with so much paper that we have.
Ben, can I ask why that is? Why is it paper heavy? Is it because of the lack of the IT or technology?
I should ask Janet Turner. Janet Turner's back there right now. Janet,
is that more of a behavior question?
Janet, Yuki wants to know why the reliance on paper in the moving industry. Why are people so reliant on paper? What do you think about that, Janet? You can put in the comments, you can answer, you can come on if you want.
Yeah, that, and how, if you're relying on the paper.
Hey, Janet.
Excuse my appearance here. I wasn't expecting to be on live, but I'll just tell you from my point of view, a company I was working for was very system and green and no paper, and everything was in the system. And we were hijacked and held for ransom for 2 weeks. And pretty much no one could operate because they didn't know what they had going on because it was all in the system. But I am not as green and had things printed out and a lot of paperwork, so I was able to still function.
Yeah. Well, That's, I think but I mean, you didn't do that like on purpose.
No.
I mean, you weren't like, hey, watch, one day I'm going to have this stack of folders over here.
No.
But I mean, it worked out for you. But I mean, why is it so hard if a company is to go try to go paperless, Janet? If somebody walks into your office and says, hey, Janet, good news, we're going paperless. And that pang of fear you feel inside your heart, what is that about?
I mean, I've come a long way. First of all, I'm a little older generation, so that's what I'm used to, but I've come a long way, and I grew to love a system. It made it easy for me to function with rate quoting, with, keeping track of all the documentation in one place. But, I like to have it in front of me. That's just me. Mm-hmm. And like, if I have to quote rates, I like to see it. And it's just a matter of habit, probably.
Yeah.
But
can you get a bigger screen?
This is great. I love this conversation.
No, I'm just asking. I know. I was trying to see. I'm not attacking anyone, but. No. But I was just trying to understand if there is a regulation, like we work with a lot of government processes, and I try to go paperless, but the government process requires actual wet signatures on something. So for that, you can't change. But if it's more of a habit or behavior or preference, I think there's an opportunity to go to a different.
Yeah, no, totally. And it works until something happens to your system.
Yeah, then that becomes a problem, because you have to have a backup.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Janet, what Janet's also describing, Yuki, is when you have a folder. I'm looking around my office for a folder. I'm surprised I can't find one. But when you have a manila folder, right, and you have the Johnson file in here, right, and the Johnson file's got the order for service, it's got the origin documents, it's got the destination documents, the bill of lading, the invoice, all that's right there. What that's doing is it's a shortcut for a document management system where you can pull up the Johnson file and see all those documents in there. It's a shortcut for good information management technology, and the file precluded good information management technology, and the people who were brought up before good document management technology was available cling to the file, right? And so it's a massive culture change too. I mean, it's not just about, okay, I'm going to start, buying this in a better packaging, but I mean, there's a lot of hearts and minds stuff that goes into this, and all of a sudden one day I'm good at my job and the next day I'm not good at my job because I'm so busy back to learning how to just use my computer again, and learn the systems and having to learn all this stuff. And once I learn it, 2 months later, I'll be even a better professional than I ever was. But I mean, that's painful for people, and I think, and I only bring that up because I think it's important for us to also understand the resistance and the reluctance to adopt these things that I think in our mind, we all know make sense, but they don't always get related in practice,
I know, I understand, but I think adaptability and agility is going to be more required going forward. It is already required, but I think I understand the resistance and the rationale or the reasoning behind it, but we all have to change.
Yeah.
So maybe the company can invest in helping people that are, people break habits.
Yeah, and I would agree, and I think it starts also with clients requiring it. I mean, we talk about clean desk policies and things around privacy, right? Some of this is kind of manifested. Some of this paperless thrust is manifested around privacy, but I think so. Clients requiring it, and then some sort of an association or body that actually audits and reports on it, who's independent. I think those are kind of two of the things that might be needed. We're running out of time, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, Yuki. This has been fun. I've kind of lost track of time because we've been talking about all these ideas. But Yuki, I want to give you an opportunity just to kind of like leave us with kind of a final thought,
I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. I think we kind of hijacked the conversation. I think you meant to have more audience participations and more comments, but I think we kind of talked ourselves. So I do apologize. I didn't create a space more for the audience, but I hope this was, I hope that people enjoy the conversation and maybe had some learning and more awareness. And this is not meant for a call for action, but it would be great if you can think, and next time you make a decision, kind of stop and think about, am I making a smart decision to for the better for the environment?
Well, yeah, Yuki, and I agree. I probably talked way more than I needed to talk, but I do disagree that this isn't a call to action. I think it is. I think one of the biggest takeaways here is there's actually an appetite and a need for some sort of formalized thought leadership around sustainability in our industry. I think that we legitimately can host a sustainability mini conference or symposium to really focus on this and do a deep dive with experts who've kind of prepared some ideas and strategies. I think there's a demand for that. Yuki, would you agree?
I do agree there's a demand for it. It's a pretty significant undertaking. So with COVID and everything, I don't know if it's going to happen in 2021, but it would be great if something can kick off in 2021. Maybe instead of a week long.
Yeah, before hurricanes obliterate us and we burn to a crisp, it would be nice if we could host a climate change and sustainability symposium.
In a lifetime, great.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, I'm going to make that a 2021 goal, is to do that. And the fun part about doing it now is everything can be done virtually. It's expected to be done virtually. So I think it makes everything a lot easier. So anyway, you've inspired me, Yuki. Thank you so much for being here and sharing these wonderful ideas.
Thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful.
I have to ask, why do you wear your tie?
Why do I wear a tie? Because I actually don't have top buttons on any of my shirts, so this actually holds it together. No, I've actually been wearing a tie since I've been in the workforce, since I was 22 as a call center agent, and I used to get crap for it from everybody that worked with me, especially people that were older than me, because they felt like they fought for casual workplace for so long that they put their time and they paid their dues and they wore their suit and ties for years, so that now they don't have to. And then this young whippersnapper comes in and starts wearing a tie every day. Meanwhile he's a call center rep just taking phone calls. But I've always worn it because I felt like you dress for the job you want, not the job you have, and I like looking nice, and it gives me confidence too. So just rock the tie.
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Awesome. Hey, thank you, everybody that got involved today and got and asked questions and comments. Hit that like button one more time. Send a heart out there to Yuki. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed, loving weekend. Enjoy your families and be safe out there. And let's just be a little more conscious of our impact to the environment and think about the little things we can do going forward. So thanks to the community. Thanks again to Yuki Watanabe from Gap. Next week is Africa Week. We got a whole week dedicated to the continent of Africa. We've got some phenomenal people coming up. We've got some great sponsors. I want to give a quick shout out to all the sponsors, so send them a little applause. We've got Aversal Global Relocations. We've got Go Destination Services. We've got Expat Partners. We got Jacob Street Partners, and we've got IAM, who all donated $500 to Mercy Joy Ministries, which benefits Ugandan youth and helps them get vocational training. So anyway, it's going to be phenomenal. My co-host Ben Sukia is going to be co-hosting with me. And we've got Renee Stegman from Relocation Africa, as well as a bevy of phenomenal thought leaders from the continent of Africa. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you for being here. It wouldn't be the same without you. Thanks again, Yuki. Take care.
Bye.